We're logged into scratch.mit.edu. We're going to ask our sprite to draw a triangle and then tessellate those triangles. First off, we want to be able to get our sprite to move. So I've grabbed a motion and I'll put it over here, and when I do that, my sprite will move. It's not really enough, so I'm going to make my sprite move 100 steps. That's a lot better. Problem is, he's not drawing anything, so I'm going to ask my sprite. I'm going to put a pen, and maybe it might clear before I start. Put a pen down and move 100 steps. So here we go. My sprite has lovely drawn a line. Unfortunately, my sprite's about to come off the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to I might go to let's say over to the left somewhere, so maybe negative 200, and the y value maybe negative 100. Let's start that for a little bit of a look. And I might even just get a little clever and do pen up as well. Okay, so let's see what this does. This time, pen up, it will clear off the screen, go to a certain area, put the pen down and move 100 steps. That's looking lovely. After my sprite's done that, I want to draw a triangle. Okay, so I'm going to have to rotate some direction, turn. I might turn, what's that, anti-clockwise? If I turn 90 degrees, I would get a square. I'm going to have to turn more than that. I'm going to have to turn 120 degrees. And then I would like to move 100 steps. And then maybe turn again and move 120 degrees. Now let's see what we get this time. I haven't quite finished. I need to move another 100 steps. If I do this, I've picked up my pen, clear the screen, go to my starting point, put the pen down, go 100 steps, turn, 100 steps, turn, 100 steps. It's doing something funny. Depends on which direction my sprite is facing, on what sort of triangle my sprite's drawing. I better sneak something where I start. I would like my sprite to point in a particular direction once I've gone there to start. I want them to point to the right. Yeah, that's 90 degrees. So it's a little bit of debugging programs to see how it works. Let's see how we go this time. It's drawing a triangle. Yep, each time I do it, we can't see anything happening because it's drawing the same triangle. That's fantastic. The other way, of course, instead of moving, turning, moving, turning, moving, turning, I might actually grab hold of that part there and delete that, grab hold of this component and go into something called control. And I'm going to ask it to repeat. I want to repeat this move and turn 3 times, not 10 times. So I'll put that in. This time, we'll see if it does the same thing. Yep, that looks great. My sprite is picking up its pen, clearing off the screen, going to the starting point, pointing in the right direction, putting the pen down, and drawing edges and turning 3 times. Now to tessellate this, what might I do? Well, I want my sprite to go back over to here to get to the starting point for the next triangle. So again, I might try move 100 steps. Let's see where we can find that. Must be a motion. Move 100 steps. And let's see if our sprite gets to the right starting point. Now I could ask it to draw another triangle, but what I'm actually going to do now is get a control and ask it to repeat that. Let's do it 4 times. I'm not sure it'll fit on the screen, but we'll try. Now I'll make that just a little bit smaller to fit onto it, the display. Let's try it now. Fabulous. What has my sprite done? It's drawn one side and done that 3 times to make a triangle, moved 100 steps to get to the right starting point, and then continued on. Okay, so can I get it to tessellate? If my sprite could move to this point, it could then tessellate triangles up on the top. I'm going to try that. Let's have a look at what we could do. I want my sprite to go back, how many steps? 400 steps. Let's try if we can find motion. Move 400 steps. I'm going to do negative 400. Let's see what that does. Now I'm in the right spot. I would like him to turn just 60 degrees this time. And after he's turned 60 degrees, I would like him to go move 100 steps. And let's see if our sprite is now in the right place to start. He is, but he's not pointing the right direction. So I might point in the right direction, which is 90. Let's have a look. My sprite's doing really well now. Again, I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Apologise, it's a bit hard to see. And then I would like to repeat that process. So again, I'm going to grab a control, and I could repeat that 3 times. Pop that in. Let's have a look. Ran off the screen, so I had a little bit of trouble there. Okay, so maybe it would be time for a little bit of editing. Maybe we could move it down and left a little bit. I'm going to try, and instead of repeating 4 times, I might just ask it to do 3 times and see if that helps. Did work well, but we went back 400 steps. I'm only going to go back 300 steps now. I've got some lovely tessellations happening. Now, to make it a little fancier, each time it's drawn a row, we could change colours. So I'm going to have a look at pen and see if it's got the colour. Set pen, change pen size. They're quite good. Set pen size. So I might actually set this pen size to be a bit bigger and try at 10. And I also might want to change the colour. Change pen colour by 10 after I have done everything that's required of that row. And I think there's around 200 or more than that. So I'm just going to change it by 50 and see what I get. Lovely sorts of tessellations happening. Maybe the size is a little bit big, but we get the idea that we could do some tessellating. So again, I'm just going to reduce that. I am going to add in a last little bit. I'll put a flag at the top. So there's a flag on the screen over here. When I click the flag on the screen, it should do that tessellation for us. And in looks, I'm actually, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to set the size only to 40. What's the size? That's the size of our little character, the sprite. So this time when I do it, I've got a smaller sprite doing it. And if I went to full screen, here is our sprite doing it. So where's the algorithm? The algorithm is to draw a line, turn an angle, draw a line, turn an angle, draw a line, turn an angle. So create a triangle. Move, repeat, move, repeat. Once you've actually done that one line, to locate yourself ready for the next one and repeat. Locate ready for the next line and repeat. So you can see our algorithms are happening there, and our sprite can do that quite readily. So now I've just clicked back on our Scratch thing, and I'm going to search for Steve Francis, all one word, and have a look at some I produced earlier. This one here, tessellating shapes, and I've got some drawn up already. These are available on the web to have a look at. If I look inside this particular one, when I click on this first one, I've got my sprite tessellating triangles. Clicking on the second one, not much different. You might look at the software over here, our coding. You can see it's very similar. Instead of moving 60 steps and turning 120 degrees, it's moving 60 steps and turning 90 degrees. If I scroll across over here, the coding's not much different. Here we're doing 30 steps, 45 degrees to create an octagon. And then we're repeating for 5 octagon, and then repeating for 4 lines. So a little bit fancier on. So some of your lower level students might just be working on triangles. Once they've done that, they could move to squares. Some of the more advanced students would quickly move on to their octagons. But also students could search on Google to find out how you could introduce a variable, how you could ask a question to get some input on how many sides you would like, and to have the coding to be able to accept that. So get the code to ask how many sides you would like and to actually get it to produce. So students can operate at a whole range of different levels. Some students, of course, might only just be able to produce the octagon or just the triangle. But there's also all sorts of opportunities for differentiation. Thank you for watching this video on Scratch. If you watch the earlier video 1, you'll find examples about how you could incorporate Scratch into different parts of the curriculum. Hope you have a good afternoon.